Good evening. The Toronto Raptors lose to the New York Knicks, 126 to 100. Lots of storylines in this one, obviously, with the trade that happened a couple weeks ago. So we got to look at, even got to look at Malachi, who I didn't know if we'd get to see, but obviously OG Anunoby, Precious Achua, RJ Barrett quickly. I guess the 31st pick wasn't in this game, but a lot of pieces, moving parts. Um, but it was cool to see Grady. I'm just looking for something to be, optimistic about, I guess. But it was really nice. Like Grady has looked incredible the last two times he's played. I know Darko didn't play him last game, but 2 games ago he played really well. So Dick rises again, and just like noticeably, he looks like a completely different. It just looks completely different than what we saw earlier in the year. He's just way more confident. It's kind of like he was confident at Summer League, it felt like, and then when he got to the NBA, it just a lot of that feels like it went away. And he was 3 of 6 tonight from three. At one point, he had 11 points in 9 minutes, and the three ball just looks really good. Like it has this crazy arc, but they're really consistent, and his misses are just really like in and out. Just fraction of a centimeter here and there. So yeah, it's definitely something to look forward to. There was a lot of Scotty OG possessions in this game. I didn't think either of them played that well, which is kind of ironic. I didn't think it was kind of an off night from Scotty. I think with the caveat that he definitely looked hurt. He closed out on a Randall shot in the first quarter, and like he was kind of holding his arm, and then he was holding his back, and he just didn't seem to have his like normal touch either. And if it's his shooting arm or whatever, then that's sketchy. But I guess it's good that he played in the game. Like they must have looked at him at halftime, but he just kind of looked he looked really out of sorts in this one. What did he do tonight? He was 4 for 14 from the field. Didn't crack. I think this has got to be the only game he hasn't cracked 10 points. I think. I mean, still had 7 assists, but I think for the Raptors, like Barrett was really aggressive. Quickly keeps doing this really weird thing where he gets like all of his production in like the first 4 minutes of the game, and but I think the overwhelming theme that I'm noticed in this last stretch is the third quarters have been brutal. The last at least 3 games, maybe more. The Raptors are now starting games really well, which was the problem in the past, but it's been the third quarters where they've just gotten killed. In this game as well, I think it was a 2 point game at half, and then probably halfway through the third quarter, it kind of turned into a blowout, and the Raptors bench just really didn't do a ton tonight, production wise. Like other than Grady's 11. On the bench, you got, Thad had 4. Brown had a really off game. He had 8 points. He was a minus 15. I thought he was really good last game. It was almost like last game he made like every right play, and then this game it was like every wrong play pretty much. Didn't have the touch on the push shots and the floaters and stuff. And he ended up going 3 for 8 from the field. Missed a couple threes, and just like didn't really seem to be that impactful. Nobody off the bench really was giving them a ton. Really off game from Schroeder. 23 minutes, 2 points, 1 for 5 from the field. Just not impactful at all. And it was really only Grady off the bench who was a spark. It was 3 for 6 from three, 4 for 7 from the field. He only has 1 assist, which that has to be a mistake. I feel like he had 2 assists at least. But yeah, he just he looks totally different than he did before. So obviously his confidence is back. Be interested to see what his 3-point percentage is now, because I know it was in like the 20s before, but small sample size, so I'm sure that's gotten up a little bit more. But yeah, this Knick team, obviously they revolve around Brunson and Randall, and they were really Brunson especially. What did he get? Something like did he hit 40? I know Tibbs kept everyone out there until minute 32 left, up by like 87 points. He still got Randall, OG, and Brunson out there. But yeah, Brunson 38 burger tonight, plus 22, 13 from 23, 5 from 11 from 3. A few of them were open too. They were setting double screens pretty high up above the break, and he was just knocking them down. He's obviously a really good three-point shooter, and then Randall's a really good tough bucket shooter. Brunson is too, but Randall was also super effective in this one. 18 points, 10 assists, 16 rebounds. Got the triple-double. Yeah, he seems to always do well against the Raptors. There's some funny moments in this game. There was an OG. This is probably a funny video to do. Like OG was driving. This is in the second quarter, and I guess he put his elbow out, and Scotty got up and was like emphatic that OG had committed the offensive foul. So I thought that was kind of funny. Had Precious check into the game, and first possession just like dribbled the ball for like 14 seconds with the logo. So that was fun. He ended up with like 18 and 10, but so many of his buckets were just like easy dunks at the rim because, yeah, without Pirtle, I mean, again, they've got Thad, the 9th game in a row of Thad Young at center, which just feels like a bad dream at this point. It's been multiple seasons of this. It's not like he's just horrible, but he just doesn't have the size. He's like 6'6", doesn't have the length, doesn't have some insane wingspan, and he doesn't have the speed to make up for his lack of size. So it's just, but I guess I don't know, what can you do? I mean, I guess there are guys. Honestly, I would rather just call some big ass guys from the 905 who's like 7 feet. I don't know. I don't think this is like I don't understand it's not saying he shouldn't play, but I don't think he should play center. It's just, it's another game where, I mean, the Knicks killed them in the paint. I don't have those numbers, but, the Knicks were just getting so like Precious had 18 points. 14 of them I think were just like uncontested dunks that even Precious is gonna nail those. He was 9 for 10. Precious Achiuwa and 9 for 10 tonight. So, and those were all. I don't think he had a 3. No, I don't know if he's allowed to shoot threes with Tibbs. Probably not. But when Precious goes 9 for 10, that kind of tells you that the rim protection wasn't all there. Pretty rough game from Jonte Porter. Definitely his worst game so far in a Raptors jersey. And yeah, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Did have 3 steals, but just not really impactful. I thought Gary ended up with 16 points, but he only played 26 minutes, and I think a lot of it was in the first half. Again, they came out really well, and then third quarter, for the third or fourth game in a row, they just kind of fall off a cliff. And the kind of start, the beginning of the end was 4:30 into the first quarter. They throw in Thad and the bench lineup, and the Knicks go on a 15-4 run. Because before that, up to that point, like Brunson was passing it to like the third row. You had Precious dribbling at the logo for a while. Quickly and Barrow really cooking. Early, like Raptors run a 14-6 run, and Quickly got 8 of his 11 assists in like the first 5 minutes of the game. So that continues to be another weird trend where he's like super effective at the start, and then it tapers off kind of as the game goes. So it's not a great setup. He had Gary guarding OG and vice versa at the start. I thought maybe Scotty would be more of that matchup, which did happen later on a little bit more. Grimes airballed the floater, which was pretty funny. But yeah, OG like played really good defense on Scotty, but Scotty 4 for 14. It did seem like he was injured. Like he just didn't really seem like his normal self. So I'll probably give him the benefit of the doubt that something was bothering him just in a lot of areas of the game. Just even like his touch kind of seemed a little bit off, which he was kind of like his arm and his back looked like, and it was his shooting arm that kind of got tangled up. So yeah, just hope that that's not anything that's going to last, obviously. But yeah, I think the thing that was just really effective for the Knicks was like Brunson just coming off of double stagger screens above the break. Just 38 points tonight, hit 5 threes, and yeah, just, it's my dream is to go on Shark Tank and wear a Jalen Brunson jersey in front of Mark Cuban, see if I can get a deal. I think he'd either like just sign a blank check for like $10 million for doing that, or you would just get like kicked out of the studio. One of those two. I don't know. Is he still on the show? I don't know. It's really only a show you can watch like when you're in a hotel. It's more of a hotel show. But yeah, had Scotty and OG kind of blocking each other a couple times. That was fun. They were obviously wanting to play hard against each other, and they were guarding each other in a bunch of possessions later in the game, even though Gary and OG kind of started on each other. But yeah, then Grady comes in third quarter. He's hitting open threes. He had 6 points in 6 minutes in the first half. Brought him back in, ended the game with 11 points. He had 11 points in 9 minutes at one juncture, and ended up playing only 16 minutes. So 11 points, 16 minutes, only a -2 and kind of a blowout. I feel like these last couple games he's looked really good. Well, so the last 3 games, one of them he was a DMP in the middle. So that I just haven't. Again, I talked about that last game. I have no idea what that was about. But it's been 2 games now where he's looked noticeably different, and like tonight, easily the most dangerous looking weapon off the bench, which is kind of also an indictment on the bench. Which when the bench lineup came out halfway through the first quarter, that was kind of the beginning of the end, and then it just kind of cascaded downwards from there. Get a lot of stars in the building tonight: Mick Jagger, Ben Stiller, Spike Lee, obviously, some other guy. I like the halftime coach, or the coach that did the halftime interview. He's done a few of them. He gives really good answers. His name is like Vin or something, I think. But yeah, he gives like really detailed answers, and I can't remember what he said, but it was really inspiring, and then the third quarter problem. I don't really know what the answer for this is, because Darko often starts the third quarter pretty much always with the starting lineup, and it's just consistently seems to not go well, and he has to take quick timeouts, or I think in this game he went a while without taking a timeout, or switching lineups or not switching lineups. It doesn't seem to be a consistent way for him to kind of get out of the mud on these things. And it has been a bit of a trend. So I don't know, are they like rock climbing during halftime or something, or watching like A Clockwork Orange and being traumatized? This just seems like something weird's happening maybe in the locker room. They got to switch that up a little bit. Maybe play the hype playlist that Darko was building. Yeah, and then, it was obviously, we got a Devlin. Every single game, Devlin has like a version of this. He called OG OJ at one point, which was really funny. You had OG jumping into the third row. So that was very kind of an OG type of thing. Of course, they did the video on him introducing himself to the drinks girl, just knocking her over and kind of barreling into the second row. I kind of had a cool moment with Grady stripping Evil Dante Malachi at the end of the game there. Grady versus Malachi. That's hell of a matchup. But we got to see a Jordan Nwora, a corner 3, and Tibbs keeps the Raptors cleared the bench 4:37. They're like, fuck it, throw in McDaniels. Is basically like, that's like the white towel when McDaniels comes in. That's the signal. It's just like, all right, this thing's over. So McDaniels comes in, Nwora comes in. I think I don't know if Grady was out, but he comes back in, and the Knicks are up by like 80 points, and it's like we got OG Randall Brunson still out there. They're really treating OG like he's like an Iron Man or something. Like he's Pascal or Mikal Bridges or something. If you look at OG's injury history, I know some of them are random, like spleen and stuff, but he's had like 47 injuries in his career. So it's a bit like, why are you playing him? I mean, not only are you up by like 25, it's not even like they're disrespecting the rules. Like or the unwritten rules. I don't care about that stuff. It just seems like a dumb thing tactically to, the other teams put like, when McDaniels is out, if anybody from Tom Thibodeau's camp was listening to this post-game show here at the railroad yards here where Mike Ehrmantraut's going to shoot some people. If any of you guys are listening to this, you do not need Julius Randle, Brunson, and OG to stop McDaniels. His brother's really good, but you see what we're dealing with here. Is his brother older or younger? I always forget that. And is there a story behind Jalen and Jaden? Because that's just, what do you do? Like, that's just so confusing. One letter different, the whole name. Anyways, shouts to their family, no disrespect. Yeah, and then I just wrote, like, again, I just don't, the Thad at center thing. And I guess Pirtle's going to be out for a little while longer. So I guess, I don't know. It seems to go bad every game except the Laker game. It was like manageable, but it just seems to kind of go bad every single time. And they keep going to it. Like I said off the top, it's kind of at the point where I think you just get somebody who's actually like 7 feet or close from the 905. I feel like there's at least one or two of them. Just, I don't think you can put a 6'5", 6'6" guy who doesn't have the speed to keep up. It's just a bad combination, and there's no other stat that signifies that more than Precious Achiuwa going 9 for 10. I mean, Precious Achiuwa shooting 90% from the field. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing, folks? What did you guys think? Have a ton.
Doesn't have the speed to keep
really
up
on this game. I think the OG Scotty thing was kind of fun, but that's one of those videos where it's like, oh, that'd be good to do, and then a day or two goes by, and it's like, well, nothing really happened that that was that interesting. Koloko, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. He's kind of he is exactly what they need, just a rim protecting 5. But there's got to be someone can do. I'll do some research on that. There's got to be somebody on the 905 who's like 6'11". Doesn't even just. Can you block a shot? Can you stand? Can you just like stand at the rim? You don't have to do anything on offense. Just just run up the floor. Think you have enough playmaking, especially with like Scotty lineups. Just be big. Pale Fox, if the Raps aren't trying for the playoffs, why not run Porter until he turns orange? Yeah, he had a rough night tonight, but I think in general, I agree. Like 21 minutes tonight, and even when he's playing well, he seems to kind of be around that 21 to 25 minute mark in a situation where Pirtle's out. And then Thad continues to be something that they want to look at for he had 15 minutes tonight. He was a -11. He was -19 last game, and it's like they're scheduling him in for 15 minutes, and you can't even be mad at him. He's not a center. Like, he's just not. It's just. It's like, quickly we're gonna play with power forward. It's like, what? I don't know. I don't get it. Grady, you're gonna be the point guard. It's like, okay. Grady, we need you to initiate some PNR actions on the weak side, Grady. Like, or I guess the strong side for the point guard, probably. My bad, folks. Tried to sound smart and I sounded stupid. Pale Fox says McDaniel's older brother, Jalen McDaniels. McDaniel's older. I know what you're saying, but it's just worded really confusingly for me, for my for my brain right now. McDaniel's older brother, Jalen McDaniels. I still don't know. Joshua, Raptors are in the trust the process era. Yeah, kind of. It. I don't know. I've mentioned this probably too many times, but I watched the Vancouver, and I know the caveat is the Raptors actually did win the championship, but I watched the Vancouver Canucks try to hold on to a team that didn't even win the championship for like 9 years. 9 years later, still being like, oh, he's still like, to the point where it's like creepy. So I mean, it's just the cycle. It's just the life cycle of sports. There's very few, Golden States, and there's even very few like Pistons. It's just just part of the normal. I've seen fucking everything. It's part of the normal life cycle. Get used to it, people. Lurk Squad, I want to keep Bruce now. I thought he was pretty bad tonight. He was great last game. I thought he was like a negative tonight. Like, I just didn't think he impacted anything, but sure. I guess I wouldn't be super shocked either way. Unfulfilled says Precious at 18. Yes. And again, some great Precious moments as you always get, but that's just 14 of those 18 points were just nobody guarding him at the rim because he had wasn't enough help coming. And I think if you're going to play Thad at center, you almost need like Scotty or Boucher to be like, I mean, obviously the offense would like adjust to this, but there was just like so many of the drives, there's just like nothing happening at the rim. So it's almost like you need to plant Boucher or Scotty like on the baseline, like LaMarcus Aldridge, where LaMarcus Aldridge would take like a baseline fadeaway. Like, you got to put somebody there and just have them just ready to help at a moment's notice, because again, when Thad gets beat, he's not going to, maybe he'll get one. Do you have one block? Maybe I'm remembering one block. No, I'm not remembering one block. But yeah, you have to kind of not really hide him, but it's just I don't know. I don't really get it. I understand on offense, he provides playmaking and stuff, but he can do that at the 4 too. It's not like it doesn't. I don't really give a fuck what he plays on offense. It's more about what he plays on defense. And when he's the 5 on defense, it's they're just getting crushed in those minutes, and you're not developing that young. It's not like, so that continues to be a weird one for me. And we saw it under Nick too. So I thought they got killed with him with the Nick minutes as well. So who knows? These are smarter people than me, and he's got 2 head coaches now in a row who think Thad Young is at least viable, but I don't know. I don't know. If I'm the assistant coach, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just going like, well, at least got to have like Boucher out there. He needs like a caddy, like golfing. He needs like a caddy and a shop, or almost a shopping cart, golf cart. He's not the same as he was years ago. I know there's that crazy stat of him that he's like him and LeBron James, but that's 3 Design says trade McDaniels. Yeah, I'm sure. I bet teams are just, God, has he been disappointing. He had that one random Boston game, but I think even in that game he was only like 3 for 7 from 3, so it wasn't crazy. But yeah, he I mean, even in garbage time, like the touch, you do have to give him shouts. That one game he had like 11 free throws in 7 minutes or something, which was just insane. But the touch isn't there. The 3-point shot is not there. The mid-range game isn't there. Handle's okay. Defense is okay. But I got to think there's better guys. Kevin O'Banner. Let's see Kevin O'Banner from the 905. Kevin O'Connor. Yeah, I think they're going to get to a point sooner rather than later. I mean, it already has started to happen. Obviously, Jonte Porter gets called up. Grady gets called back up. I think they are gonna probably, especially now that Siakam's gone and things are really kind of resetting, I do think and they should do this. Like, this is something they should do, and I hope that they do, is to call up some of the young guys. Like, see what you have, see what you got. I mean, look what's happened with Grady here. I mean, obviously he's higher pedigree, more of a pick, but I mean, you got like Justice Winslow down there. He was once worth like 4 picks at one point, not that long ago. I mean, at this point, like, I mean, maybe you're making the play-in, but I don't know. So is the experience worth it? I know they talked about that on the broadcast. Like, oh, it's the experience Scotty needs is the play-in game or something. But I mean, it's true, but I don't know if it's worth. And I don't even mean tanking in a sense. I just mean like experimenting, like see what you have. Use these as like you should already be thinking about next year. Like, this year's fucking cooked. Like, it's over. Look what you have for next year. See what you have for next year. Look what the Yankees did and do what the Yankees did. They were doing this dumb shit, trying to win every game, starting the same guys. It wasn't working. The fans hated it, and then finally they're like, "Hey, we're gonna call up the alien, call up the other guys that I can't remember." And Peraza, they looked really good, and they actually ironically started winning some games. It was too little, too late, but now you're optimistic for next year a little bit. You know what you have, you know what the chemistry is. But in terms of trading McDaniels, I mean, his contract's not that much. So it would just be for another, like, probably not even getting like a second rounder for him. It would just be something equally as like uninteresting. Yeah, he's just hasn't really done anything. People are talking about Koloko. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my notes. I mean, I still, with all that, like, I do think the basketball aesthetically has gotten better. Even though they're like 4-7 now since the trade, it is more enjoyable to watch. I would like one more player that's like can take some of the defensive load from Scotty, because it's kind of another game it's a bit of a trend of, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a big trend, but it's a noticeable trend that the scoring has dipped over the last, like, basically since the trade. And a huge reason for that is he's taking the other team's best assignments. And so, word is that he wants to do that. But at the same time, I think, who knows? I mean, you can look at it the other way and go off my rant earlier about how the season's basically over. And it's like, yeah, you can, part of what you're using this is to see, like, training Scotty, like, okay, you're going to be guarding the best players in the NBA every night. Like, we're not going to win, but that's good training. So you could look at it from that aspect as well. It's kind of like Grady shooting threes. It's like, okay, we're probably not going to be in these games, winning these games. So sure, you can guard Tatum for 97% of his possessions. Put the reps in. So I don't know. I don't know how you look at it. I don't think there's really any point in. I think what should be prioritized, and it's starting with, obviously, with Jonte being called up. I mean, it was also kind of a need, but I do think it. I think you will start to see, hopefully, and I don't mean like what Portland did last year, where you just like, oh yeah, Quickly's knee is sore and Scotty's ankle, so we're gonna bring up Jananthony Williamson or something. I don't mean that. I think that's a slippery slope. I think doing that shit is it's not. I don't find it immoral, but I just think it's like it's a tricky. It's kind of a tricky one. But there's nothing wrong with losing games because you're experimenting and seeing shit. And normally you probably are going to lose when you're experimenting, because typically teams that win stuff kind of know, like the Denver Nuggets are not like, oh, let's throw this crazy lineup out there and see what happens. The Boston Celtics aren't going, oh, let's do, I mean, maybe some crazy like, a small sequence here or there or specific situation. But in general, the better teams kind of know what they do and know who they have and know what they do and who they fit with. And I think this season is kind of an opportunity to see that, which, yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of newer fans, especially like after the championship. That's always going to happen. But I can tell you as, someone who followed the Vancouver Canucks from 1997, like I really missed kind of that era. So like 1997 to 2018, I've seen a lot of this kind of stuff. And they're losing games, but it's a fun part of the life cycle, in my opinion. Holding on to some previous relic, which they're absolutely not anymore. I mean, Boucher is the only one left. That to me is painful when you're losing. Like if you're holding on to the past and you're losing, that's the worst part of the life cycle. At least now you've kind of evolved past that. I think in general from the OG Pascal trade, I think if you combine the two, I think it's not like you blew it away, but you also didn't get hosed. Like if you combine the two with where their contracts were. So it's honestly, it's not the worst. It's definitely not the worst position to be in. I think last year and the beginning of this year was like, that was the worst part of the life cycle, in my opinion. And yeah, if you're newer to this, then, this is part of it. It's definitely part of it. And it's rare. Like, again, if you're freaking out, the Pistons situation, those are like rare. Those are like outlier teams. It doesn't, I mean, think about over the whole NBA. You got like the Pistons, the Wizards, the Hornets. Even the Blazers were a decent playoff team not that long ago. There's really not a ton of teams that just get killed year in year and year out. Those are rarer. So it's just like the dynasties are rare. So it's all just it's all part of the life cycle. But yeah, the Raptors lose this one 126-100. I think that's pretty much George Stevens. If they played Scotty at the 5, would he be the best center they have now? I mean, yeah. But that kind of like on defense, then it's kind of like what I was just saying, where I don't know what the conversations are, but since OG left, Scotty has been taking all of OG's assignments. So if you put him at the 5, you take away him guarding their best player. And I don't know if they see this as like a development thing, like, hey, get you some good reps in versus Steph Curry, Giannis, LeBron, Tatum, like just see the gamut. All the stuff that OG got, now you get to train on that. That's the only way you're ever going to train on that. And obviously he is really into defense. That's not the only way you're going to train, sorry. But that's like the most effective way of training. It's just, okay, we're just going to throw you in. And he has and it's not like he's getting killed or anything. Like the only downside is the offense takes a hit because it's exhausting guarding these players for 90% of their possessions. It would wear most people out. That's why the Kawhi Leonards of the world are so rare. It's just because there's very few, Giannis, Kawhi. It's not that many that you just, are like defensive player of the year candidates or winners or in that echelon, but are also going to just consistently put up 25, 30 points. Like that's, so yeah, I mean, you could see that maybe they are thinking that this is a cool development thing. And again, I think the really, really important part of all of this is Scotty wants this. Like, this has been public. Like, he's like, I want the challenge. I want the assignments. Like, this is who I want to be. So if you're the coaching staff, I think if you say, hey, you're going to be the 5, I don't know. I think they're doing the right thing on that. But hypothetically, yeah, if he would be their best 5. I mean, even with Jakob, he would be their best 5. I don't think that's even really that close. And then plus on offense, like I don't really think that like the only thing for him that makes sense as a 5 is like that playmaking Marc Gasol Jokic thing where you're on the elbow and then, drifting out to take above the break threes. But I think that's kind of limited. Like it's kind of those guys typically, I mean Jokic is an anomaly, but those guys typically, that archetype, it's not really like handling that much. It's more, it's just like I think less of a, maybe not impact, but I don't think that's where he's kind of at his strongest. I mean, you throw it out. I think you can do it once in a while as like a different look. But I like him much more as like the initiator. And the 3 has tailed off a little bit. I know he was at 40 for a while. It has dipped down to 37, which I think league average is like 36, rounded up to 37. So, I mean, still a huge leap, still really good. But I have noticed also like the volume is down, like when did he take 15 threes? Was that couldn't have been after the trade. I have noticed since the trade, like tonight he only took 3 threes. There's been a lot of games where he's only taken 2, 3, 4 threes. So, but again, that goes back to the role on defense, I think more than anything. I mean, I'm just spitballing, but you could make the argument that if he did play a small ball 5 role, that might not be as energy intensive as being like a point. So maybe if he's tired or matchup dependent, maybe you do throw him in at the 5 and he can still drift out for threes. Obviously, there's lots of centers that can operate, 15 feet from the basket. Defenses are going to be on him, but maybe he makes a pass. Defense, shifts their attention a little bit. He just kind of walks, wanders slowly back to the 3-point line. That I could see that working too. I mean, you can kind of put him, that's like the fun thing is you kind of put him in any, like he could theoretically play pretty much like shooting guard, would be kind of weird, but pretty much like 1, 3, 4, 5 kind of makes sense for him. So yeah, just yeah, it is fun to just think of all the different like situations that you can put him in. And then, defense as well. It's kind of the same thing. Like he's taking OG's matchups, and OG famously was guarding, Victor Wembanyama, Giannis, Steph Curry, like just whoever's like size, speed, length, whatever, doesn't matter. Weight, strength, doesn't matter. Just whoever is the most effective player, that's who you would put OG on. And now, that's kind of one of the subplots of the season is Scotty, having a much more, involved role defensively, I guess, even though he was still a really good help defender before. But yeah, so the New York Knicks beat the Toronto Raptors 126-100. It was close in the first half. Third game in a row where the third quarter has just gone to shit, so they got to figure something out for that. I don't really know what the answer is. They put the starters back out there like usual, and it seems to be in this weird pattern of it not working that well. So, yeah. I think you had a better game from Barrett than Quickly, which has kind of been a bit of a trend. And Quickly kind of does this thing where he comes out really strong and then just kind of tapers off. I mean, it's good that you're giving possessions to Scotty and stuff, but I do think should be more aggressive down the stretch. I think that's something that Barrett's been really good with, especially when the offense has been sluggish. He's just been really good at getting downhill. His free throws have been a bit rough. It's funny, like he's trained by Drew Hanlon, and I feel like every other Drew Hanlon client is like different. Like Drew Hanlon trains Embiid, Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal, Tatum, Cat, I believe, Jordan Clarkson. much more like fluid, loose players that do yoga, kind of look like they do yoga. I feel like with RJ, it's a little, and I think it's most notable, kind of the way he really jams that shooting elbow in, and like when he shoots threes, it's really like a bit of a jamming motion, and it just is kind of mechanical. But yeah, he's kind of the only, from off the top of my head, all the other Drew Hanlon clients are more like just wavy, you know what I mean? And twitchy and stuff. But yeah. So Raptors lose. Pizza party. My prediction was pizza party May 1st, so we're looking pretty good. I'm in Chicago rail yard here, so I'm gonna go